All right. Zach, welcome to Podcastina.
Thank you, Galina.
It's nice to have you.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Apparently, you're a big sandwich guy, you were just telling me.
Dude, I'm on the hunt. I am on the hunt. I've tried what's it called? Gwen. Have you heard about Gwen?
I don't know about Gwen.
Okay.
Enlighten me.
Curtis Stone, celebrity chef, very attractive Australian guy. He and his brother opened this like Michelin star restaurant, like the Bear. I think the Bear shot some stuff there. And now they've opened their steakhouse to have like a lunch service that's just order at the counter sandwiches. And it's like duck ragu sandwich and like a grinder that was inspired by the Bay Cities one, which is like famous. And they're amazing. It's like a $20 sandwich. It's not huge, but it's like you're getting a Michelin star like sandwich for lunch. And the people working there they look so disappointed that they're there because they like got that job to be working in like the Bear. Like they're like they're high-end chefs and now they're like, yeah, what's your sandwich order? Like they work at a takeout counter now. So it looks like the runts of like the pecking order are like, all right, I guess I'm on sandwich lunch duty. But Gwen was amazing. Gwen, I highly recommend the duck ragu sandwich. And then I just had, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Mamie?
I think I call it mommy, and I feel like people know what I'm talking about.
Okay, Mommy, yeah. It's a new place on Santa Monica and Fairfax. An Italian guy who makes his like family recipe of bread, and every meat, every ingredient is imported from Italy. I mean, dude, it's same price as the Gwen sandwich, but way more filling. It's like bigger. And now it's famous. TikTok will just blow something up so hard.
That's how I heard of it, and I'm so disappointed that it wasn't there because I spent 8 years living catty corner from that location, which just one business after the other. It was like a Bermuda Triangle for failed dreams for the longest time. And then I move out, and all of a sudden a hot sandwich spot. And I am such a simp for Bay Cities and a good Italian sandwich, so I know I'm going to like it because the sandwich that put it on my list of like must visits has pistachios in it, and so I will just do that all day long.
You like the crushed pistachio in the sandwich? Yeah, it's kind of grown on me. I thought it was weird at first, but I guess like if you get mortadella, there's pistachio in it sometimes. I haven't had the Bay City sandwich, the legendary Bay City sandwich.
You haven't?
I haven't. The Godfather?
Yes. So Bay Cities has become a location. It's in Santa Monica that I will take my family. I will take people from out of town when they're visiting.
Wow.
It's that good. And there's always a crazy line, and they're rogue about their hours. They're like, we're doing whatever we want and we know it's going to be fine. And then the other nice thing about Bay Cities is there's a grocery store, like a proper Italian grocer attached to it.
Ooh.
So you get the sandwiches at the deli counter, and then you're waiting for your Sammy, and you roam around the store and you get the pasta and you get all the good imported stuff. And I recently spent $17 on Parmesan, and I'm not even sorry.
I love that move. That's the real experience. Like, there's a place someone introduced me to in Encino called Domingo's, and it's the same vibe. It's like an Italian market, but you're there for the sandwich at the counter. And what I love about Domingo's is you can add Calabrian chili paste to whatever sandwich you want, but to order that, you say, make it nice. Don't you just love that? I was so excited, like a kid waiting for Christmas to happen. I'm like, I can't wait to tell them make it nice. I can't wait to tell them make it nice. And we get there, and I think I'm gonna be so mafioso about it, like make it nice. Hey, while you're at it, make it nice. And I end up going, could you please make it nice? And my friend's like, could you please make it nice? What a loser! I was like, damn it, no.
But any judgment from the butcher?
No, they were like, we know what you mean, you idiot, you new guy. My friend goes there so much now that he has his own, like, the usual. That's the highest honor.
That is the highest honor.
You walk into a sandwich place, I go, hey, the usual? And it's not a regular sandwich. It's like something with something added, something taken out. You know, people always talk about the dream of, like, having a sandwich named after them.
Yeah. Is that your dream?
Would you feel like you made it if Bay Cities had a Galina?
Oh, I definitely would. People would be confused about it. I've just always, I'm trying to think of like the most interesting sandwich I've had.
Yeah.
And it was probably at this bar sandwich place called Melt in Cleveland, where I grew up.
I didn't know you're from Cleveland.
Yeah, I spent most of my life.
You seem like an Angelino.
Thank you.
If someone were to ask me, I would assume you grew up out here.
Yeah. Ukraine for 5 years.
Okay.
Cleveland for 17.
Damn.
And then I've been out here
Okay.
quite some time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like quite some time. We can't do the math on your age there.
I was about to say it. Like, whatever. 12 years. I'm 30 okay?
My
It's
math is
okay.
so bad, I'll have to do that on the way home.
It's all right. I'm 35. It's fine. We're getting Botox. It's all right. But anyways, Melt had a sandwich with pierogies inside the sandwich.
Whoa.
And like sauerkraut, which I'm such a huge fan of as like a Eastern Bloc person. I mean,
Love
we love
sauerkraut.
a sauerkraut.
Good for you, too.
It
Get
is
those
very good for you.
probiotics going.
That's right. I'm big
So,
on my probiotics.
Is it the soft dough pierogi or is it like the little crispier kind? I don't know.
It's crispy on the outside, potato on the inside.
Oh my God. In a sandwich?
In a sandwich with the greasiest, just thickest bread too. And everything there is like a grilled cheese style. So the bread is just doused in fat
Yeah.
and grilled to perfection.
You know, you need a, like, for the really best, like LA has some great food, but for really good, like, sandwiches that are bad for you, you need, like, a city that's been through some shit. You know, like, their pain speaks through their recipe. Or it's like, kill me, but make me enjoy it.
Yeah, it's like it's not good unless you're escaping some kind of nightmare while you're eating it. You're like, the cholesterol is going to make me forget about my boss.
Yes, yes. Do you go back to Cleveland?
I do. I go a couple times a year. I'm about to go back for Thanksgiving.
Now, do you do, like, shows when you go back? Or
I do, and I will say this about the Cleveland comedy scene. It's very generous.
Yeah.
Like when I show up, they're like, yeah, what shows do you want to do? And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Cool.
I can't get on anything in LA,
Yeah.
right? And the bar shows there are top notch. People
I
come
bet.
to them. They're excited to go to them. The scene is so enthusiastic. Everybody's kind. There's
Yeah.
a lot of funny people out there. So I'm really grateful to have that to come back to because I actually started stand-up here. So I was retroactively accepted by the Cleveland scene.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're like their celebrity person that left and, like, moved to LA.
I wouldn't quite pat myself on the back that way.
It is funny, though. Like, when you're out here, usually people from back home are like, you made it. And you're like, oh, I far from made it.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I'll let you guys think
you
that.
don't feel special at all. And you go back home, people are like, what's it like? It reminds me of the scene in Billy Madison when he goes back to, like, middle school and he's in high school now and the kids all look up to him and they're like, I can't wait till I go to high school, Billy. And he's like, never stay here as long as you can. That's how it feels. It's like, it's fun out here and I'm glad, you know, I made the leap and it's a cool, you know, the wins they feel bigger. Like if you have a great
That's
set on a show with, you know, like a good lineup, you're like, man, that felt really, but like, you know, back home, I don't know. You need them both. You you need to go back home and get in touch with like just being funny and having and entertaining a room full of people. And I love a good working class town bar show.
Absolutely.
It's like the best comedy venue all over America. And those bars, like in the Midwest, I'll have it a lot where it's like a bar that's bustling. Like games are on. I see it a lot in Chicago or New York. People are hanging out there loud, and I'm like, where's the show? Like, I feel bad shutting this all down to listen to me talk. And then they open some backdoor room, and everyone's just there for the show. You're like, oh, this is the best.
Yeah, it's so good. I do feel like the ceiling is a little bit lower if you stay in one of those towns. I know people that are really good there, but it's kind of turned into this thing of, well, they end up headlining like one evening kind of thing, or they travel around and do B and C clubs. There is a lot of really good comedy within driving distance of Cleveland because you can drive to all these different, you can drive to Detroit and Columbus and Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. There's all these markets that are really good for comedy and that are within a 5-6 hour drive.
Yeah.
However, it's like you're kind of topping out at probably featuring for some big person from New York or LA that's coming through, like Hilarities or I guess the Improv just recently changed over to a Funny Bone, so that's kind of exciting.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, what a cool like circuit that is. But yeah, it's like those, you know, it's hard to make that leap to know, you know, when you're headline worthy, because a lot of those big names now were doing those B and C clubs and no one really heard of them, you know,
That's
like
true.
the Sam Morrils and the Mark Normans and those people. And you would see them, you know, like I've opened for those guys at like the smaller clubs, and it's cool because they're funny and you knew that there's something, but it's almost like no one's in most cases, no one's just going to give you like a key or a ticket and be like, you are a headliner now. Like you have to kind of pitch yourself. I struggle with that a lot. And some of my friends are out like touring and, you know, I do a little bit more of like the auditioning and the acting stuff. And I'll kind of lean on that as an excuse to stay close to where that work is because that is my day job. But it's also an excuse out of like fear, I think, to be like, am I ready to like cold email, you know, like a club in Pittsburgh right now and ask for a one-off or, you know, it's a weird kind of dynamic there. And I think audience members don't think about it because they're sitting there going, oh, this is who the industry tells me is fun. They're headlining. They must be great.
Yeah.
But you don't realize they might have just pitched themselves really hard to this place. There's this funny story about this like old-timey baseball player, Ty Cobb. And he's got a lot of problems. I think some people claim he was racist. And but then there were articles that said the sports writer just hated him and made up stories about him being racist. The guy was an asshole. But when he was starting, and this is like the beginning of baseball. It's like the 1920s or something, I want to say. He was playing in the middle of nowhere. And he would pretend to be a local sports writer and send articles about himself to people to like give him a chance. And there's something so funny about that. Like, if we could just be like, man, I just went out last night and saw this kid, Zack Chapaloni. Wow-wee, that is a good time.
It was probably easier to get away with back then because I can't remember what actor it was, but some actor pretended to be his own agent and would just send emails around from like a fake email account hyping himself up. But I feel like in this day and age, it's a little harder to get away with that.
Totally. It's like, and who are you again? Do you have a website I can? There's so many spam. Do you get like spam booking requests?
I've gotten a few.
What is that? Like, I don't even understand what the hustle. Maybe they try to get you to sign a form and give you their social security or something. Or...
Probably.
It's a weird thing, you know, because I don't know. It's like, hey, I couldn't help but notice your latest TikTok. Would you like to perform at my corporate event? And you're like, you haven't named a company and your email is your name 1234 at Gmail. It's so bizarre.
And I'm like, yeah, but what are the specs of the job? Tell me more. I'm listening.
But go back to how much you liked my stand-up clip.
It is the one double-edged sword of what the industry has turned into, where I feel like it is more clear now that if you don't have a platform and an audience, I'm not going to cold email until I build one because I don't think a club is going to give me a spot if I can't sell tickets. So I kind of feel like that's now the next thing that has to happen is I have to have enough of an audience where I can justify that I can sell tickets.
Yeah.
And that to me is like this purgatory that I'm stuck in career-wise, where I feel like I would love to graduate to headliner right now, but until I can sell tickets, it's simply not going to happen.
Yeah, it's the state of comedy now. It's so hilariously sad because everyone's just sitting around talking about how they didn't get enough views on the TikTok clip that they posted, and they're thinking about taking it down. And then I wonder how cool conversations must have been back in the day, but now it's like, are you guys doing like a 10 a.m. post? Or I feel like traffic comes at like an 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. You know, like,
it's awful.
What is this?
It's the 7th level of hell.
Truly, like we could not. I mean, you could. It's the worst time and the best time, right? Because now people have cut out the middleman a lot. You don't need to wait for agents or managers to kind of gatekeep you. You could just build your own audience. But it's also, it comes with such a boring. It's like I could fall asleep to that. Just people talking about like social media strategies.
Yeah.
And it's such a grift. I don't know, man. Sometimes you just pay them and they're like, all right, your numbers are looking great.
So with you traveling to do comedy, I want to ask you, is reclining your seat on an airplane, yes or no? Because this has been like a hot ticket item lately.
Ooh.
I feel like I've seen arguments on the internet that people are saying they don't want seats reclined. Where do you stand?
People who say it's like evil to recline your seat, I think if that's on the airline, they got to not let your seat recline. But, you know, I don't recline my seat anymore.
Ever?
I try not to because it really isn't as rewarding. Like sometimes you'll recline your seat, you fall asleep, and it feels like it's not reclined. It feels like you're practically sitting straight up. So what is the it feels like a meaningless thing. It's only there to make the person behind you feel trapped because you don't feel that much more comfortable. On a long flight, maybe I'll cave. Like if I'm going to like, I don't know, like Southeast Asia or somewhere, it's like a 24-hour flight. But I have reclined back in the day and like have someone like jolt my fucking seat.
No kidding.
And I was like, oh shit. And I like pushed it back up and it was like an old lady. She's like fist fighting the back of my seat. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, lady. Like, I'm not going to fight this woman on this thing. But yeah, so nowadays I would say I'm a non-recliner. What's your stance? What's the side of justice?
If it's a red eye, I'm reclining.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can recline.
Right away.
Not right away. When I'm getting in position. I'll
Okay.
typically read my Kindle for a little while.
Yeah.
Catch my bearings.
Uh-huh.
Maybe take some melatonin.
Yeah.
We'll see. And then, yeah, I recline.
Are you
'cause
neck pillowing?
I'm neck pillowing.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Are you neck pillowing?
I've never had one.
What?
Yeah, I've never tried it.
How?
It looks like a scam to me.
How do you sleep?
I usually am a window seat guy. I bring a hoodie or a jacket or a coat, pillow on the side. But you know, you're at the mercy of where you line up with that window. Because sometimes
You
it's
are
like
at the
a
mercy of
weird
the window.
angle.
And the window's cold.
The window is a little cold. But I like sometimes sometimes you have two windows, which is weird.
You're a king.
It's like power. I had someone reach behind to one of my windows. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. You got your window in front of you, buddy.
Open or closed?
I always like to look when we take off.
Me too.
Why? Why do we like to see us leave the ground and take
In case
flight?
impending death is coming. I want to see the ground coming at me.
Yeah, I don't know why I have to look. And then once we're in the sky, I usually close it. Yeah. Because it's nighttime now. Now we're in the sky, it's nighttime.
Yeah.
I don't care what time
Even
of day
if it's
it is.
daytime?
Yes.
It's nighttime.
It's nighttime here.
It's actually criminal to have the window open in the daytime, I think.
I agree. You're pretty sick. Yeah, very selfish, you know. The biggest issue for me on flights is people fart a lot. Do they not?
They do.
They fart way more than I feel like they're farting in public.
I think they can't help it. I think it's the altitude.
There's a pressure thing going on for sure, but it's still no excuse, man. You just hold it.
You can't hold.
You
can't
gotta
hold
hold-
a fart for hours. Come on.
Okay, until the bing, and then go to the bathroom
And
and
you're going to the
unload.
bathroom to fart, Zach?
I don't fart on flights. I can hold it.
I don't believe you.
I swear. I'm not that is terrorism. That is biological warfare. I feel like you should be thrown off a flight. I turn it around. I go. There was a teenager in front of me and my wife. We were flying to Mexico, and they looked like some Mormon family, and it was like the parents were sitting off to the side, completely checked out, and there were like 12 of these kids, and he was the second oldest, something like that. So he was the responsible one, taking care of it. Kids were acting out, and he's like, "Here's your book," and it was kind of adorable. You're like, look at this kid, like taking the reins a little bit and being responsible. And I guess his one release, he's too young to have a dive bar to go to. He's too young. He's too young to get high. So all he has left is just ripping ass in our faces nonstop. Like after like the sixth time, I'm looking at each other like we started cracking up. I'm like,
How'd you know it was him?
I mean, it's just he's sitting right in your face. Maybe someone else, but it just really felt like this kid was taking his liberties and having a night off. It was just unloading farts on us. Like we started just cracking up because I'm like, we are living in this. We're just covering our faces. I wanted to tell the parents, can you like take your kid to the bathroom for a second? It was insane. I mean, adults, the elderly, I'll always give credence.
Yeah.
If
They really can't help it.
they can't help it, and you know what? The world is speeding past them. Body slowing down. If you're farting, if you take having a hard time pulling in and out of a parking spot, if you're holding up traffic, if you cut me off and I look and you're old, hey, it's okay. It's not that serious.
That's a good way of doing it.
If you're my age, I'm like, we got an issue here.
Yeah.
There's nothing more terrifying than someone driving into your like situation or almost cutting you off or swerving and you catch up to them and you think they're like texting or something and they're just 10 and 2. The scariest. It's like, this is your maximum focus. I don't get that one, man.
Do you think they're just quick about adjusting to that position because they know they did something wrong and you're about to pull up and judge them.
Ooh, yeah, maybe.
Because there is time to switch it up.
Right. They know they're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I get that way. I get embarrassed if I do something. I really try to put a lot of emphasis on being a good, mindful, considerate driver because I
Yeah.
believe in karma. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, if I let people in, if
Sure.
I'm not doing criminal things, then I try to see if that like comes back around to me. But every once in a while, an accident happens and you're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to
Sure.
cut you. And then you will see me at 10 and 2. I will pull
and
glasses out of my purse and put them on. And
you have an old white wig that you
Yeah.
wear. You're like, hello, Sonny.
pull like a fake handicap sticker out.
I feel like people have a lot of handicap stickers.
Yeah.
Like fully functioning people.
Mm-hmm. They do.
It's not right. You
It's
want to
not
talk
right.
about karma.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's probably their grandma's car or something, but
Yeah, that's a really distasteful one.
I don't love that. I don't love that move.
Mm-hmm.
But, I guess you could argue that they're taking care of a handicapped person all day.
Are they?
I hope. Yeah, they're not there.
Grandma might be in the closet while the checks are coming in. We don't know.
We haven't heard from Grandma in a while now that I think about it. Yeah.
But the Social Security keeps getting cashed. We're not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I feel bad for the elderly. I saw a guy go off on some lady for having a hard time parking. But I was like in a building on the 3rd floor. I like saw out the window. And he's like, you have so much. Look at, there's a spot there. And it's like this 28-year-old hipster. And he's just irritated. I'm like, dude, this person. Part of me goes, I hope you're older and you can experience this because it sucks. I think I always kind of dream of like a movie, not like Saw, where he's like really torturing people, but like the people who are disrespecting someone else who's in need, like immediately, like after they do it, like this whole scene flips and they are that person.
Yeah.
And they feel it,
That would be justice.
How satisfying would that be? I would watch that movie.
I would too.
Like you just want to see a scammer get scammed. I love those, the people that go after the scammers online. That's like my TikTok algorithm.
I love those, and you'll probably appreciate these too. The shopping cart narcs.
Oh, cart narcs. That guy's a legend.
Such a legend. I love it. I love when they're like, is this your cart? And then they say yes, and then he goes and just puts it right behind the car.
Yeah, or people go, thank you. They think he's taking it back. And
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Lazy bones. He calls them lazy bones.
I have actually given a guy the stink eye at Trader Joe's because he was my age, obviously physically fit, and I watched him not put his cart away and just put it in a different parking spot, and I rolled my window down and I went,
Oh, dude.
and I shook my head no.
I'm trying not to be this person. Like I feel like we're growing up and I think we're getting older and we're just like fed up.
I will just lean into being that person. I don't mind at all.
But
That
you
will be
don't
my
say
whole
anything.
identity.
You'll shake the head as loud
I'm
as you
afraid to
get.
say something.
Yeah. But I'll shake the head. Nothing hurts more than getting the head shaken at you.
That's right. I don't flick people off when they cut me off on the road. I give them a thumbs down.
Dude. Okay. Torio Van Grohl told me this one day. He got a thumbs down instead of a flip off. And he said it hurt so much more.
Good.
It's truly you get an F- on driving today.
Yeah.
That's so funny. The thumbs down is great.
The thumbs down is legendary. And this one is dangerous. I would not recommend this one, but I've done it just a couple times on days where I had just had it. But if a man cut me off, I go,
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
That's good.
But that will get me murdered at some point.
Yeah. I know. That's the hard part. You got to value what you have. Like, let's not lose everything over this.
Yeah.
My dad was a big road rage guy. Like bad. Like
With you in the car as a kid?
with me like in the way of danger. Like he would
no.
like yell at like a fucking guy on his bike with like a sketchy dude, who clearly probably had a knife on him. And he's just riding with the window down, like talking shit. And then I'm between them, like buckled up in the passenger seat. My mom used to like plead with him to like relax. Like if he got cut off, he would follow you past his exit and like slam his brakes in front of you just to like, I mean, I would always be like, how have you not been like shot or stabbed? Because you are welcoming danger over nothing. And he would get in trouble for like doing it in front of us, like with my mom.
Good.
Yes, of course. And then I would tell my friends, like at school, I remember being little and being at recess and be like, my dad will yell and like call people fat. My dad was fat. And then, like talk so much shit to them. And my friends would be like, no way. They didn't believe me. So I went from being scared to being like, oh, this might be a cool thing. And I had my friend coming over for a sleepover. And this guy cut in front of my dad. I'll never forget it. And my dad's like, you mother. And he kind of looked at me like, oh, I'm not supposed to do it. And I just went, Dad, it's okay. You can do it. He's like, really? And I went, go for it. And I looked back at my friend. He rolled down the window and just fully stopped in the street like, you fucking asshole motherfucker. Just going off on this dude. And I'm like, oh, man, this is the full effect. And I look back at my friend, like, how cool is that? And my friend is bawling.
Scared?
Crying.
Oh, no.
Fully crying. I'm like,
Aw.
okay, yeah, I guess this isn't a healthy thing for you. Because when you're a kid, you don't know, like, is this healthy or is this trauma?
It's normalized for you because that's what you grew up with.
Totally. And you think everyone's parents doing that. But I remember being like, this might be cool. And then looking around, like, okay, so this is not cool, actually. This is very scary.
You know the science behind road rage?
No.
It makes a lot of sense. So the reason that we get so amped and that road rage happens is
Yeah.
because you're kind of in fight or flight the entire time you're driving. Like on a subconscious level, you understand that you're in physical danger the whole entire time. So when someone cuts you off, they're threatening your life. Like that's what's happening in your lizard brain is you're being put in such danger that's why you see people get so reactive because nobody gets that reactive in any other situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess like the only comparison is like walking, right? Like when you're like walking down a sidewalk or something.
Yeah, but you're not
You're
that
never like,
conflicted.
you fucking asshole. Yeah,
Mhm.
right. That's really interesting. So my dad was just protecting us all those years.
Mhm.
He was worried that his family was in danger. And you do feel like a dog after you're just like, what? It's not that big of a deal, buddy. Yeah, my wife calls it City Zack. She's like, oh boy, City Zack. Because
Oh,
I don't scream at people. And I'm like, dude, go, man. I talk
Mhm.
to them.
Mhm.
Like, what are you doing? And then when I honk, she's like, oh, let me drive. City Zack's in full effect.
I honk so much that I'm surprised my horn hasn't given out.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you a long honker?
It depends what's going on. I
Dude.
have been for sure.
Anyone who honks for more than like 7 seconds, I'm
No,
like,
I don't do
you
that.
need to be on a list.
I don't do
The
that.
FBI needs to know where you exist.
Yeah. Unless something so heinous
Sure.
is happening.
Sure.
If someone is like blocking an intersection and they can move,
Yeah.
I'll lay it down.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. I guess you can go there. But I live on like a busy street. I live on Fountain, so it's just like, it's like a freeway. And so some of the horn honking out there, I'll hear like a 7-seconder and I'm like, okay, nothing's this serious, guys. Walking though, I will, I hike a lot.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'll be walking like up and the whole path is a group of friends making like a fence.
They should all fall off a cliff.
Dude,
Every single one.
I'll give them a hard head shake.
Yeah.
I'll do like please spare some path. May I have some ground to walk on? It's insane. It's a lack of awareness that really bothers me. I'm hyper aware, I feel like.
Me too.
And obviously I fall short of the mark sometimes, depending on what's going on with your
But
day.
you're trying, and that's massive.
And I'm always like, if I'm standing, talking with a friend, I'm always like, come on, let's stand over here and let people through. But some people what a blissful existence that must be.
Oof, the folks that stand at the bottom of an escalator.
Oh, or a doorway?
My blood is boiling.
Hanging
just
out
thinking
in a
about it.
doorway?
Yeah.
Let's all gather where the
Hanging
people
out in
need
a
to
doorway.
get in and out.
Bottom of a set of stairs, bottom of an escalator.
Yeah.
Getting into an elevator before I have exited the elevator. That's huge.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that
Yeah.
you should get your elevator privileges stripped for a little bit, and you got to walk the stairs and think about what you've done.
Yeah.
There should be some social order, some punishment here.
No, every time it happens, I'm like, someone hit the nukes. I'm over it. I'm done.
And this all. Yeah, I feel like serial killers were just pushed into this by one bad escalator encounter. I'm like, I'm just gonna start killing random people, I think. Doesn't even have to do with this anymore.
It's the MO that no detective has been able to pinpoint, right? Like, this guy just kills with no pattern at
Nothing
all,
in common.
seemingly. But it's always some girl that goes to the mall and just stops to talk to her friend at the bottom of the escalator.
Yes.
So he follows her home.
Dude,
And he's like, I'll get you.
the loud phone call haver. That's another self-awareness. Like, you know what it is? It's like, and maybe it's because, you're an immigrant. My mom's an immigrant. I have this like sort of like scared kind of peasant mentality, like my whole childhood. And I think she always wanted us to be like, you're free now. You're safe. You're here. Be loud. Be American.
And you're like, but my generational trauma says otherwise.
Yeah, I want to be quiet and not, noticed. And the people that are just like, yeah, I know, man. We got to do that. We have got to. Okay, yeah, and we're just like in a quiet place. Like what? We're all in this. Sometimes I want to go. Yeah, he's talking to. I don't know who the guy is. I don't know, but he's right here. He's doing just no headphones. Yeah.
How much does being first gen inform things for you? Because you're right, it just like seeps into everything where I'm always kind of mindful because that's just the background I came from was like, oh, well, you're under the thumb of an oppressive government, so stay in line.
Yeah.
And people here have all this freedom. They don't even understand
Yeah.
the extent of how much freedom they have. So how much is like trauma for me? Like, what is it for you that you do weird? Not weird in society, but what do you do that you're like, oh, that's some immigrant shit?
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, God, so many things. You got me on the spot. I feel like aligning is a big thing. So like trying to blend in with whatever the group I'm in. So I find myself, if it's a loud group, I get loud. If it's a quiet kind of maybe like book club vibe, I'm always matching it because I just want to feel like I was supposed to be here. Because I think
that's so sweet.
I know growing up, it's like you're like I don't really have like a place where I feel like I belong anywhere. It's funny because like Moroccans are very, they're loud. Like my mom would talk on the phone, and my friends would think like she was having a fist fight in the back of our house, and she's like catching up with her sister, like over the phone. But it's this sort of like passionate, like. And I remember visiting my cousins and in Morocco when I was a kid, and we would be like, playing basketball. So we'd go out to just like we'd play games. And so we were like playing basketball and at some like schoolyard, and they would be arguing over a foul, and I wanted to like speak Moroccan with them. And so I would like say a few words like how they said it, like match that sort of hostile almost energy. And they would all stop and look at me like, it's okay, Zach, it's not that big a deal. I'm like, I'm doing what you guys are doing. That's how you guys sound, But like I couldn't pull it off without them being like, hey man, we're okay. Relax.
Are you fluent?
No, I know some words. But it's like Moroccan, it's like a kind of a bastardized like Arabic because they were like way over south of Spain. So it's this kind of like, it's called Darija, and it's all the signs are in Arabic. But if I spoke like Moroccan Arabic to someone from like Saudi Arabia, they'd be like, I caught like one word.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like,
I didn't know that.
I heard French Montana say it's like Jamaican speaking patois to like an English speaker. Where you're like, I'm getting some of it, but what's this? So the pronunciations and things are all a little different. But yeah, we are not fluent. I always kind of wanted to be, but my dad was like very American. It's so funny he married an immigrant because like he had no interest in any of that. Like never tried Moroccan food.
Still?
His whole life.
Wow.
Never took a bite of anything Moroccan. Never tried to speak Moroccan. Never cared really about the language. And he'd just be like, hi, how's it going? And my Moroccan family like looked at him as like this hero. This like American, like he's the coolest guy. I'm like, you don't even fucking care to learn your culture, Like can't be that cool. And they're like, nah, it's cool, man. This guy's cool.
Is your mom pretty in touch with her roots?
Oh yeah. Too much. She's kind of like, she resents her roots a little bit.
Oh, interesting.
Because she's the oldest woman, and there's like 12 kids. So there's like this social responsibility where
oh my God, it's like the kids on the flight from Utah.
Totally, 100%. Any problem that needs to be dealt with is her priority.
Oh.
It has to be. And if it's not, everyone's like, well, where's Naima? I'm like, she has her own kids, guys. Let's let her like be with her family. So she kind of likes to get away from it a little. She doesn't like to go back. She was like really poor. Like, first generation to learn how to read and write, like tiny village, it's not even on the map in Morocco.
Wow.
And then their dad had a side family, so they got kicked out of their
Damn,
home.
he had time for that with 12 kids?
Yeah,
He wanted more?
he was a little bit of a scammer, old grandpa. So he like took their house and had this other family. And my mom kind of resents a lot of the cultural stuff that people take advantage of, where like having multiple wives was just like, a lot of guys who cheated would just use that as like, hey, it's part of our culture, man. We got more than one wife. It's like, no, because that thing that my mom would always explain that, that rule was brought in because men would go to war and then they would die and come back. There'd be less men. And now these wives households are ran, like you need two people.
Mm-hmm.
So what do these wives do? Well, if someone is doing well enough in the tribe, financially or economically, has like this sort of, the space to help another family, then they can take on maybe another wife or two max if it's needed. But over time, it kind of became like my grandpa who has no money, is like straight up leeching off of my grandma.
But BDE, apparently.
Yes, exactly. Major BDE. So he was just out doing his own thing. Like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. And they were like, Dad, it's a huge deal. Who are these people? Who are these half siblings?
I hadn't thought of that. It makes sense when you boil it down to if it's a resource thing.
Sure.
And there's few men because they're going off and dying in war, then it makes sense. But when it's just like your grandpa, like you're saying, a playboy, where it's like, hey, now, this isn't what this was designed for.
Yes. And they can argue that, like, I'm just a traditional guy, I guess. And it's like, no. That's not what this is. Yeah, it's funny, man. So yeah, it was rough for her, and I think she gets sad going back. She was like a child servant for like some.
Whoa.
Yeah, she had like a really rough upbringing, and she feels bad going back because there's a lot of poverty still, and she wishes she could kind of help everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And she says like a lot of Moroccans go back and they like to kind of flaunt that they're American now, and they kind of like keeping it out of reach of other Moroccans. A little douchey. And a little bit like they got lucky because someone gave them an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of trying to pay it forward, they're like, it's just really hard to be American. Unfortunately, you guys could never do this. But I'll come back and, throw you a few bucks for going to fetch me some lunch. Like it pisses my mom off in a lot of ways. So she likes to kind of, she worked really hard, and she lives in our hometown, which is a very prestigious hometown. A lot of rich people. We're not rich, but it's a safe community, and I think my mom likes it. But my brother and I hate the this type of person that inhabits that beautiful, quaint town, because it's just
they're highfalutin,
angry about nothing. It's just they're so bored that they create their own issues, and they're not fun to be around. They live in such a bubble that it's funny. My brother and I seem like ingrates because we're like, these people, dude, I don't want to be, but my mom likes it. She has her cute little apartment and she feels safe. And, part of me is like, as much as I wish that you lived in more of like a community, you've been through so much. And if this is your finish line, like, you made it, sister, you're living that good life. She goes and hangs out at the local yacht club.
Oh, I love that.
And gets like,
wait, your mom and I have a lot in common because I kind of live like that too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice aesthetic.
It is.
Like yacht club culture, country club culture. My mom is a member of a yacht club, cannot swim, never, but she just hangs out and like talks to the staff. She likes to hang out with the staff.
That's really sweet.
And she treats them like her kids, and they all, whenever like I meet them, they're like, your mom's my mom. She looks after, she tries to help me find a better job if I'm looking for something. So you're like West Side yacht clubbing or what?
I'm West Side yacht clubbing. Yeah. And I wonder if it's this for your mom. My greatest concern, is she small?
Yes.
Physically? Okay. So, same.
Mm-hmm.
Safety is just an ongoing concern for me 24/7, even when I don't necessarily can't prove that I'm in an unsafe situation. I just kind of am always hyper vigilant.
Yes.
And so living in a safe neighborhood is super important to me.
Yeah.
So I will live somewhere that is ever so slightly beyond my means so that I can enjoy the fruits of the safety of the neighborhood. So where I'm at now, I live across from a yacht club.
Really?
I walk past it with my dog all the time. I'm trying to you know, get into that culture, trying to find a boat friend.
Do you say hi to everyone?
Yes.
Dude, that is it's like, it's all making sense now.
Yeah.
You're safe because, hey, you saw me today. It's almost like
That's
you're
right.
alibi building every
Yeah.
day.
I'm like dropping some hair like I was here. Just fingerprints on the railings.
Feeling happy, time stamping everything. That's so funny.
But it's so just like a petite woman,
Wow.
and especially being someone who's from, I don't really have a lot of memories from Ukraine. I was 5 when we left.
Uh-huh.
So, but the couple of memories that I have are all trauma, right?
Interesting.
So they're safety. One was like we got caught up in like a horrific thunderstorm, tornado situation coming home
shit.
one time. So I remember that. I remember just a lot of like crime from even when we got to Cleveland, just hearing about it
Yeah.
and constantly being exposed to that.
Yeah.
And then Oopsie Daisy growing up as like a true crime fan too. So I'm just like always thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that's like just a huge driver in my actions and where I choose to be.
Dude,
I bet it's that.
that makes way too much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I never pieced that together. I wonder if my mom would be into true crime now, just as a result of like what
Yeah.
you're. That's wild because my brother and I would always be so annoyed. She says hi to everyone, everyone. She doesn't even talk to us. Like I'm okay with it because I think I'm a little more comfortable with where we're at in our relationship. But my brother doesn't see her as much. So when he's sitting with her, she's like, "Hi, Roger. Joey, go say hi to." And my brother's like, "I don't want to say hi to. I want to talk with my mom. Do you mind like giving me your attention for 5 minutes?"
That's so sweet.
I know. She just can't stop. It feels like she's running for mayor. Like, truly. When people ask like, "Oh, like I live in that town," I go, "Yeah, a little Moroccan lady saying hi to every single person, like everyone." As kids, it's humiliating. She'd see like, you know, when you're like a kid and you're nervous that like cool kids are walking by, and you'd almost like you're with your family and you don't really want to talk to them. You're almost embarrassed that you have a family. You know? You're like, man, I just want to be an orphan, like rebel kids smoking cigarettes under the bridge. But my mom would straight up in front of us be like, "Did you do swim team with Joey?" To like that kid. I'm like, "Oh my God." And they're looking at us like, "I don't know you, lady." It was like the most mortifying. We're already the foreign kids, you know, the foreign lady kids. Yeah, there's like a shame, you know? Like Cleveland must have been tough, right? Is there a big Ukrainian population there?
There's a small, and I kind of, until the war, I really was just lumping it all. I never used to straight up make the difference. Like, I would never be like, "Oh, I'm Ukrainian." I would just, under the umbrella, you call me Russian, I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm Russian," because I speak Russian, and
Right.
that's like the culture that I identify with. So I
Sure.
didn't make the distinction until the war started, and now I feel like I have to.
Sure.
Now I feel like I have to be like, "No, I'm from Ukraine.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not one of the bad guys, whatever."
Yeah.
But I grew up with other Russian people. Like, there was just a handful of other Russian kids in my school, probably 4 or 5 of us total.
Okay.
And then there was like a decent sized Russian community in Cleveland. So we would all do after school programs together and summer camps. And so there was a lumping together of all the
that's
foreigners.
nice.
So I felt really normal within those groups. But because it was such a small group in my high school,
Yeah.
I was friends with those. That was like my core group
Yeah.
growing up. But then everyone got like really Americanized, right? Myself included. But they kind of went the way of like cheerleader, drill team, and I became like a weird emo kid.
Okay.
So at like 16, we just went like this.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's when I started just embracing my weirdness.
Yeah.
But there was like some sort of safety in that community, and outside of it, I did feel really, really weird, and I was made fun of for my name,
Yeah.
and I definitely felt odd a lot.
Yeah. I mean, look, in hindsight, it's more bold of you to like pursue what you felt like aligned with your identity a little more than like the shallow thing. But there's something to be said about like the foreign group in our generation. Maybe it's different now, but the foreign group could never be the cool group.
Correct.
You know, like
That's so real.
it like truly was impossible.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
We
foreign.
were always the weird. We were the Inas because it was me
Oh, funny.
and this girl Polina and this girl Marina. And we had a friend named Julia, but she would just get lumped in with us, and we were called like the Inas. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
The Inas could never be cool.
You couldn't until you broke away.
Yeah.
You know, the Enos had to identify as cheerleaders, and
Mm-hmm.
It is funny. It's like if you can't beat them, join them type of thing, you know? So like you want to just stick with your identity and be treated like a person. And I'm sure it didn't feel like overall you were having this terrible experience because it's just I mean, you know, there are good days, there are bad days, but in hindsight, it kind of, you're like, oh, that wasn't totally okay. It's like it's so different now because like if you were gay, you couldn't be the cool kid, you
Right.
know? I mean, like outwardly gay. You know, maybe there was like the most popular kid that no one knew was gay.
We knew.
Maybe we knew. Yeah. And, you know, it was like all these sort of things that were seen as like disorders. Whereas now I think you might pretend to be gay to be the cool kid.
It's so true.
You know, like
we just used to, you know, have weird haircuts and like wear weird clothes.
Yes.
Now it's, I think, I don't know if I should say this.
What?
I feel like it's really cool right now to be trans if you're a kid.
Yeah.
Like the kids that I know that are high school age.
Yeah.
That seems to be the thing.
Yeah.
Which for us, that was like, we were just emo.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Emo. Yeah,
Not that there's validity in that, but I do think it's
there's
a
some
phase
overlap
for some kids.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure even the trans community will be like, I don't know about this one. You know?
Because the numbers aren't adding up.
Yeah.
There's so many. You talk to parents and they're like, oh, my kid is trans. And it's like, really? The whole block?
Yeah.
Everybody's kid is trans?
I don't think it's that
doesn't seem
simple.
right.
Yeah.
Is that red 40? What's happening?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no one ever investigated the train accident 2 years ago. No, there was like I mean, you look at the parents too, I think sometimes get like way into the culture. And when you're a kid, you kind of do what they want. But have you seen the show English Teacher yet?
No.
It really touches on that in a very funny and like real way where kids are speaking about issues and some of the kids are really going through things, but other kids are like trying to catch a teacher being canceled because they're not fully sensitive to I really enjoy this show. I highly recommend. It feels like TV's like a TV show like we used to watch. And you know, it's about a gay English teacher kind of navigating his own life and identity while teaching like these kids in Austin who are all over the place. Parents ashamed of their kids being gay, kids like coming up with diseases that they have that are undiagnosed, you know, and like it's so funny. And then like the tactless PE teacher who's like, back in my day, you know, we called this. But yeah, it's like we're all navigating like the climate, you know, where whatever it is. When it's like cool jock versus nerds, because you're like, I got to play a sport. I want to be a jock. I don't want to be a nerd. And then, you know, the nerds became the billionaires. Everyone would always say that, you know, like, someone was stuffing Bill Gates in a locker. And I would feel like I want to be a nerd, but I think I'm too dumb. Like, I think my mom's dream was for me to be a nerd.
Probably.
Yeah, like a doctor or scientist.
Mine definitely was.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky they're supportive of me doing comedy because it was, you know, doctor or lawyer, which one?
Yeah.
That's it.
Did they do either of those things? No. But they probably grew up in tougher conditions.
They grew up in tougher conditions. They definitely aspire. So many, even just back to my core group in high school, the Inas, right? So one became a doctor.
Oh, wow.
One became an actuarial scientist, which is just like a math scientist. She does like algorithms for insurance companies or some shit.
Whoa.
And then the other one is an accountant and like went through an escalated accounting program and like got it years earlier. Meanwhile, I like went to the school. I went to Kent State, which was lovingly called Kent Read, Kent Write, Kent State.
Oh, that's so
So
funny.
that was my path.
Can't read,
Yeah.
right. I love a good dig.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the creative pursuit is not you know,
It's not highly sought after in the immigrant community.
Sure. It really doesn't even, I mean, do your parents get what you do?
My dad definitely doesn't because he refers to them as my concerts.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. Just so effortlessly cutting.
Yeah. But not because he's intentionally trying to undermine me.
Yeah.
He just simply doesn't understand. I could never explain to him what the fuck a podcast is. I don't even try. Like, I don't even make the attempt with him at that. He kind of understands, like, the TV writing stuff
Sure.
and that aspect of it that's a little more mainstream, so I can
Yeah.
explain those things to him, but I don't explain the ins and outs of what it's like to be a comedian versus my mom, who actually does understand and is super supportive, but she comes from like a music background, and she is a creative and loves singing, loves playing piano. So for her, I think her excitement comes from the desire to live vicariously through me
Sure.
having an artistic pursuit. So I think that's why she was super into it.
So do you take that with a grain of salt, or is it like a thing you're excited to be connected with your mom through?
I'm really happy for the support. I think that it would be tougher to have gone through what I've gone through in pursuing this,
Yeah.
to then not have that support system, or have that support system be tainted in selfish aspirations, because it's not like
Yeah.
that. She doesn't put it on me in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So okay, so she's not living so vicariously through you that like it's her pride too.
Right. But she does get so stoked for me when I get things.
That's awesome. That's so special. Yeah. I like, oh man, I'll hear some comedians talk about how their parents like have favorite comedians.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's, or like they know, like someone's talking to their parent who like knows who Rory Scovel is, or like Mark Maron.
Wow.
And I'll be like, dude, that's the coolest shit I've ever heard. Like for my mom has no grasp of any of this. She's just happy that we're happy. And I think like as much as I resented like rich kids with families with a plan, there is a freedom to coming coming into your own in a family that truly has like nothing. Like obviously we're rich in a lot of ways, but like financially there's, you think of it as freedom, but in a lot of ways it's pressure. And I don't know if I could have been a comedian if I had to run my family's company.
Right.
And not be the one that drops the ball or fumbles the bag, and us having kind of like no plan. Like it's weird. Like both my brother and I wound up working in entertainment in different ways. And it was just, I think people are always like, do you have like family in entertainment? We're like, no. It's just, I think it's because we had the freedom to do what we wanted to do. And those processes are slow, as you know, and it doesn't necessarily, unless you're one of the chosen few, it doesn't lead to like a lucrative kind of place in the big picture right away. But if you have nothing else going on, then you're kind of given the opportunity to become that outlier or whatever people say. So you can really have fun with it. But yeah, I mean, some people are in marriage too. Like I have friends who are rich, like old money rich childhood friends, and their parents don't approve of the women they date.
Oh.
And they can't marry them. And that's so sad to me.
And they don't have autonomy.
They don't.
From their parents. Wow.
They don't. Yeah. And I don't know if I would be different, because you want to do right by them. It's not just the like, well, we're cutting you off financially. I think it's deeper than that in a lot of ways. I don't think they're like, well, what am I going to do without all that money? I think it's more like, can't a mom and dad hate me? Like Thanksgiving's going to be so weird if I bring my wife and they just hate us. I had a friend who saw my mom at a bus stop. My mom told me this story recently. My childhood friend saw my mom at a bus stop, and he's like, Naima, I'm going that way. Like, I'll give you a ride. And so he gave her a ride, very kind of him. And they were chatting and catching up. And my mom was like, he said, do you like your son's like significant others? And my mom was like, yeah, I love them both. They're good to my kids. I approve. They're good people. And he's like, yeah, my parents never really approve of anyone. Aww. And my mom was like, well, your parents have like assets to protect.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't have anything to protect. Go out there. I hope they don't ruin your life. But yeah, it's like, it's even tougher to find love. And, one family, their parents, these neighbors, they disapproved of him proposing to a woman because she was Asian.
Oh, no.
And
just like old school classic racism.
Yeah, like you got to keep it in the tribe.
Wow.
And he broke it off. And then like not long after married a white woman.
Oh.
Dude.
That's crazy. My mom tries to push me into dating Jews.
Okay.
But I'm kind of like, listen, you can't hang your hat on that. Like, it's hard out here. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lower it that. Like,
Yeah, right.
the pool is already small, Mom. It's already small. Like,
Let's
you gotta
start
let
with
it
mentally
go.
functioning,
Yeah.
well-adjusted people.
Let's start with someone who knows how to emotionally regulate,
Yeah.
and then we'll take into consider other things.
Yeah. So are you dating? Are you seeing anyone?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apps?
Apps. Just Raya, which is so douchey, but
Dude, that's cool. It's exclusive.
it's exclusive. Yeah, well, once you see who's on there, you're like, how exclusive is this?
I see people pacing and griping about being waitlisted for forever and not getting the pass.
But once you get the pass, then you can delete it and re-download it, and you're kind of forever grandfathered in. So I had it a few years ago. Didn't see any results with it. Didn't even go out on dates with it.
Yeah.
And then this year was I had like learned that some guy I had a crush on was on there, so I like downloaded it again so I could
Ooh.
try to find him.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Just crazy
Beginning
shit.
of a rom-com right
yeah,
there.
it is. So I downloaded it, found him within like 10 days, paid to DM him.
Well, you have to pay to DM?
Yes. Yeah, unless you match with someone.
Oh.
Yeah, but I only recently learned that those DMs don't even show up anywhere. They're really, really hard to find. They show up on your, I got one from someone I hadn't matched with that like paid to DM me.
Yeah.
And it showed up on just the notification screen on my phone where I had to like pull it down and go back to that to get into it. Because from the app, there's like no way to find it.
Weird.
Yeah.
What a racket.
And then nothing really happened with that. And that was probably 6 months ago. And so I'm just still on there. I've gone on a couple dates on there.
Yeah.
It's fun because I do see celebrities.
I was about to say, like, you
Yeah.
must be dating people like, oh my God, you're like from the movie.
All the time. Where I'm like, oh my God, this guy,
That would be the scariest state of my life.
Yes.
Because you're like, am I cool? I'm not cool. I am so not cool.
But if I match with one of those people, I'm going to think I'm cool.
Right. Yeah, you're like, you wish you could be this cool.
Yeah. How'd you meet your wife?
We met at a bar on St. Patrick's Day in San Francisco.
Amazing.
Yeah. I was meeting up with a friend, and that friend had like a cousin and a brother that were around our age, and they were dating these girls that were like part of a group of friends from another like city. So that group was like out partying, and yeah, we met and hit it off and just kind of hung out from then on, and just really, it was just very like easy to be around this person and like talk to this person. I didn't think that existed. And I think that's like a big part of, I mean, it's luck. It's all luck. But when you enjoy like someone's company, and there were like fights and awkwardness a little bit, you know, I think we both had to mature. But when you just enjoy being around someone, there was never really a rush to be like, I would like you to be my girlfriend, you know, because it's like, what does that even mean? You got to be on the same page with what that even means, you know, like, do you think I'm your property now, or does that mean now you get to check in on wherever I am, and I always have to report to you? So, you know, you kind of like just trust that you're enjoying time with this person, and then also are attracted to this person, and that, you know, whatever fire romance is there, but like, you just, at the end of the day, you enjoy like hanging out with that person. It's like a friend with benefits, truly.
Yeah.
And then I think after a while it was sort of like, all right, are you seeing anyone? I'm not seeing anyone. When the connection, I think when you really start like having feelings, it gets like hard, because then you're worried you're going to be hurt, or going to be, you know, the trust kind of gets questioned a little bit. But we were before the apps. So like, you know, it's so annoying to be that person, but like, the app era seems cool and fun.
It's not.
I know, and
everyone
is like, it's not. Everyone tells me it's not.
Because your way of meeting your wife is the only way, really, that I've ever gotten into like an organic. I have not had any kind of serious long-term relationship ever come to fruition from the apps. Everyone that I've ended up in love with was someone that I was friends with first.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's that no stakes kind of hangout. But like now, where does that even take place?
It doesn't.
Running groups. I see running
Kill
groups.
me.
I know. I see him.
I'm not getting shin splints to meet some douchebag who's going to lead me into a 3-month situationship and then bail for a 26-year-old in a different run club. No, sir, no.
What about surf? You're surfing a lot now.
I'm surfing a lot, but I surf poorly, so I'm away from all the good, cute surfers in the water.
You're with the amateurs.
Yeah, I'm
You're
with
on the
the
bunny
amateurs.
slopes.
And I don't want to date an amateur surfer because it gives me the ick. Here's my new thing, pickleball.
Oh, yeah.
Which I enjoy, but I'm also half like, oh, I'm trying to meet a guy here.
That's kind of nice because you know what? You can really spot who's got anger issues. I see some pickleball fights. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Have you? Wait, do you play?
No, I just watched these viral clips. Dude, there was one guy who went viral recently. He one guy had kind of a bad attitude. He was like, yeah, they won. And he's screaming in the guy's face. And he puts his hand out to shake hands with the guy. And the guy doesn't put his hand out. So he high fives the racket and knocks it out of the guy's hand.
Shoot.
So he feels bad. He reaches down to pick up the guy's racket. The guy kicks him in the face, knocks him out cold. And everyone's like, what the
At a game of pickleball?
Game of
It's like for
pickleball.
senior citizens.
Dude,
That's not cool.
I don't get that energy is in every sport. And I always would have like mini panic attacks when I go with my friends to play basketball. I do like a stand-up bit about like not knowing how to talk shit because it's like so it wasn't known. You know, people just think you're going to play a game, but it's a very much like, not today, like to a stranger.
Oof. There's so much aggression in surfing. I always get videos of guys that are on a wave. Someone drops in on them. They straight up will take the board and just push the person.
Yeah.
And just rip their board out from under them.
It makes me never want to surf. It's the social order that makes me never want to surf.
Mm-hmm. It's why I stay in the beginner areas. I go to beginner breaks, and when I'm at the more advanced breaks, I keep to the sides. And even there, I've gotten yelled at for things that I kind of couldn't control that were like a little bit of a skill issue.
I hate that.
Yeah, where I'm like, guys, I'm just trying to learn.
There should be beginner day where the experts leave the waves to the rookies.
There are. It's called days when the waves are shit.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Do you still catch a good one though if it's like a bad day and you're out there on your own?
Less.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks so fun.
It's the best. If you ever want to go, I have extra boards and whatnot.
Okay, the answer is yes, I want to go. The no is I don't want to see anyone that's like, where are you from?
You're not going to see that where I go.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. I learned my lesson with those places and seeing all the videos and even just Topanga. Topanga Beach. They call it Topangri. That's like the nickname in the surfing community.
I'm out, dude.
So ridiculous.
So out.
And that's the one place I've been yelled at for just. I always stay in my lane over there. And I was just coming back in one day. I was just like surfing straight into the beach because I was done. And some chick still like blew up at me. And it's like, I'm leaving. What do you want?
What did they say?
She was like, watch it. Just screaming at me.
Because she was like coming in on a wave or something?
Yeah, but I was exiting. And I had every right to exit.
Yeah. Dude, all that tension takes all the fun. Like that will ruin my day.
Of course.
And
but it happens really rarely. I will defend that is that like I know where to go and I know best practices for staying out of people's way. Like once you learn the etiquette, you're good to go.
Okay.
I haven't seen angry pickleball yet.
Dude.
It seems like an oxymoron.
It'd be so funny if you like hit it off with a guy in pickleball and you're like, yeah, we should meet up sometime. And then you just watch the next game he's in and he just fucking snaps like an old guy. Yeah, pickleball looks really fun.
It's so fun.
People have gotten so addicted that
I'm one of them.
Kind of scares me. Yeah. I think Dave Waite had a bit about like he's like I thought it was just something we were doing during the pandemic. Now everyone's got their own like expensive racket. Like everyone's been training.
Yeah.
It's like there's something about like taking the fun out of something that I thought this was just a silly game where we all kind of like didn't care. Now people care.
Yeah, people care.
People are addicts. I guess like my physical thing that I enjoy is hiking, just because it's like I can avoid people. I don't really talk to anyone. I don't do the high.
Yeah.
I go like head down. But I feel bad because sometimes people I know will walk by and they have to like tackle me because I'm just so like, no. It's not that I know they're even coming. I'm just like, I don't. And there's some people that just want to say hi to everyone. A lot of celebrities where I hike.
Oh.
And so I'll want to like say hi, but then I'm like, what am I going to say?
Yeah.
You ever see someone that's like your hero and you're like, what am I going to say? You're my hero?
Yeah, I try. I've kind of have this rule. I won't approach a celebrity or acknowledge that I know who they are unless I am like a diehard fan of that thing. So
Yeah.
there's been very few. I think through comedy, we
Yeah.
see a lot of famous people all
Sure.
the time, right? And then I also work at Ferrari, so I see a lot of celebrities through that job, and I've had a decent amount of celebrities come in through my notary business too.
Uh-huh.
And with that one, I'm very, very strict because I'm like handling important confidential paperwork at that job.
Sure.
So I will not acknowledge that I know who they are because I don't want them to even for a split second think that their privacy is in jeopardy
Yes.
somehow.
Right. You're
I will
professional.
say, yeah, one time at a party, I came up to a podcaster that I was a huge fan of, and I like fangirled on her a little bit.
Yeah.
And
How'd it go?
it went great.
Yeah.
Like, she was so sweet, and we were at a party that was like mutual friends, and so there was kind of already that like added trust level of like, oh, well, we're both at the same Christmas party. You must be okay.
Yeah, right.
But I kept it very brief, and I'm trying to think if I ever even came up to anybody else. I don't think so.
Yeah. I've heard someone gave me a great pointer, which was like, if you see someone that you really like admire and you want to talk to them, have something to talk about.
Oh, amazing.
If you don't, then it's
So
really not
simple.
going to go anywhere. But even if you have to cook one up and then just be like, hey, something. And sometimes I might be an asshole and be like, I don't really want to talk. And you just got to deal with that. But sometimes it's really great. I had like I was at like a comedy festival, up in the Bay Area when I was like newer. And I saw Nick Kroll and I had like done that. And we had a great conversation. And everyone at the party, because a lot of these comedy, at these comedy festival parties, it's like everyone's hanging out with their friends and then celebrities are there, but they're like there's no crossover. Like no one's talking to them. They're all trying to act cool. And then maybe someone says something weird and everyone's watching when that person talks to, the big name. So we were having a good conversation and I could feel like the eyes of the room being like, Zach's going for it. When I left, people were like, whoa, dude, do you know Nick Kroll? I'm like, no, I just introduced myself. And they were like, Zach's really good at like networking. I'm like, I'm really not. I'm really not. I had one go right, but he was very nice. And it's funny, I moved to LA and I saw him at a restaurant I was at and I like immediately was like, nope, because I didn't want him to think I was stalking him.
Yeah, fair.
It was like too close. And there are crazies out there.
There are, yeah. But the fact that you're thoughtful enough to even consider that,
Sure.
The crazy wouldn't consider that.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's hard not to just want to be like, hi. When you see.
Is there anyone that you wouldn't be able to resist coming up to?
I'm a bashful guy. I'll usually like the more big they are, like the more in my head or in my childhood they are, the more I'm inclined to not talk. Like Adam Sandler was a big one. I saw him at the Comedy Store and everyone wanted to have a word with him.
Of course.
And I was just like, I'm going to be the one that doesn't, And but I'll never forget how like he made everyone feel so cool and so like welcome to talk to him.
Well, because anyone who's a comedian, I feel like the comedian part comes first.
Yeah.
And I mean, blanket statement, but I feel like a super famous comedian is inherently going to be a little bit nicer to any comedian because there's that relatability.
Yeah. Maybe they miss a little bit of that too. But I don't know. I see a lot of assholes. A lot of people that don't want to talk and go out of their way to be like, you're a loser. They have like Terminator vision. Like, who can help me? Who cannot? But yeah, it was like an example of how I would want to be if I were in that position, And there is like something like nostalgic about like seeing a younger comedian that's like bad. Because I was bad. We were all bad.
Everyone's bad.
Yeah. When you start, it's like truly the scariest. You have no material to fall back on.
It's really remarkable how arrogant people are when they're new, myself included, because you don't even it takes a couple years to even realize how much you suck.
Yes. Right. No one's going to be that upfront with you. You kind of don't want to hear it, even if they are. I went and did a show at USC, and there were like 3 kind of college level age comics going up before me. And it was, some joke, like one joke would hit, and then the rest was like crowd work that they bailed on, and we're like so ashamed that they even opened it up. And like it oddly like warmed my heart more than making me uncomfortable. It made me like, I forgot about that. This is part of it. It made me happy for them because I'm like, you're in it, dude.
Yeah.
This is step one. Be bad, fail, fall on your. I still
have
like
to.
fail trying things that I think are hilarious that don't work. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that is ever going to go away. And if anything, we should be grateful we're not famous yet.
I know.
Where someone's not holding a camera being like, oh my God, I just saw Zack Chapaloni try the cringiest fucking bit. Because I will do that.
I saw this was like a pivotal moment for me, and it happened, I think, when I was just maybe 3 or 4 years in, if that kind of taught me that you're never safe.
Uh-huh.
I was watching a show at the Improv, and Dave Attell went up and bombed. And I was like, if he is not safe, I will never, ever, ever be safe.
Yeah.
Now in retrospect, this is extra hilarious because the reason he bombed was because he was performing for Chris D'Elia's crowd, which is
That's
extra
so
funny now,
Yeah.
post everything that happened with him. But it was like, oh, okay, maybe it's a good thing he bombed with those people.
Yeah. Well, you realize like you can't be for everyone.
Mhm.
I think someone said like it's immature to think you're going to be for everyone. And
Yes.
maturity is knowing that you won't be for everyone.
Mhm.
And but it's always hard it's a tough kind of pill to swallow to me still. Like some nights I'll go out and I do what's true to me and it misses. I like lose the crowd and you're like you see someone else kill for them. You're like,
So then you know it's your fault.
so you know it was
the
you.
second one person does well on a show,
Yeah.
if everyone else bombed, it's all your guys' fault
Yeah.
because one person was able to nail it.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I've been doing some like not like very like lightly political humor. I'm not like, trying to pick apart like the social fabric, but I was in a show in Bakersfield and I'm like, I even told the audience, I'm like, see if I can tie this room together after I divide us apart. But I was like, I voted for Kamala and it was
Did they turn on you?
I set it up top
Mhm.
and I wanted to prove that like the jokes I was going to do are universal. And it's just like, I think some people just did not want to like me
Mhm.
after that.
It's kind of fun to dig yourself, to make a hole for yourself and then try to dig
It
out.
is.
I enjoy that sometimes. Sometimes I'll start with a joke that I know that is going to make them fucking hate me just
Yeah.
so I can see if I can get out from under it.
Dude, totally. I feel like it's like a new level of maturity because I've always been a people pleaser. So like every show I'm at, I'm looking around the room like, all right, they're older. Maybe I'll do the safe bit.
Mhm.
And then you kind of start going, fuck it, dude. This is me. This is what I want to do. And if I can make you laugh with me, with
Mhm.
what I like, then we're really getting something out of tonight. If I'm just pandering, then I don't think I learned anything.
Yeah.
Like I think I just it's a stand-up becomes this balance of you want to kill, but you also want to find your own voice and your own like personality up there. And they can counteract. They can hurt each other. So I think performing at these shows where like a lightly attended show is almost fun because you're like, now I can really try some stuff, But yeah, it's funny. Other people killing makes you want to kill or mad that you didn't.
Mhm.
But you ever go up on a show and you're like, man, that was not very good. I'm bummed about how not acceptable that was for me. And then you watch everyone go up and just do terrible and you're like, oh, I did okay.
Then you start to feel better. Yeah, absolutely. But again, that's all out the window as soon as one person does well. Because
Yeah.
if everyone does poorly, that's the crowd.
Yep.
Irrefutably, that's the crowd.
Yep.
But the second one person does well, it's me.
We suck.
It's my fault.
We suck. They're actually good comedians. Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite is when everyone's eating shit and they're just no one can connect with the crowd. And I'm a later and I'm like, wait till they get a taste of me. And then you get off stage, you're like, yeah, I guess they're just weird. Weird crowd tonight. I thought I could break them. I can't. No one can, I'm pretty sure.
Do you have any piece of like marriage advice, relationship advice that you really lean into that's like vital for you?
I think it's important to want the best for your partner and be their biggest fan. But I also think it's a tricky dance because you don't want to actively change them. So I think encouraging them to come to their own conclusions, and it's really something I learned from my wife where like, I'm so much better of a person. And I think that's a telltale sign of like, this is a great relationship when you kind of look around to the people in your life and they're like, you're better now.
Oh, wow.
But it's not because when you get home they're like, hey, you got to work on this, you got to work on this, here's your to-do list of ways to improve. I think it's this sort of like nourishing, encouraging push, a little bit like a very gentle push. But I think it's important to be each other's biggest fan, and really just support their ambitions and believe in them. That to me carries through all the negative and the weird experiences. I feel like even if things were to go wrong in our relationship, like I don't ever see us not cheering for each other. And I think that is like a testament to the beauty of like our partnership. So I think when you're with someone, be interested in them and root for them and make sure that it's being reciprocated, and then it's a lot of like ugly, tricky, you got to humble yourself. Like you're getting used to having this other person in your life. So you are going to have these tough talks of like, need you to be better here, and those suck. You're like, your own integrity is being attacked. You've never had someone talk to you like this. And it gets a little petty and tit for tatty, but you got to come to terms with the fact that you're learning and you're growing. And again, luck, like it's just luck. I'm very grateful that like, my wife has found a career down here, because I think I would be in a much different situation if she was like, how much longer do you want to do this LA thing? I want to go home. I want kids by 35. I want your goals. Like they are there. Who you think you are now is going to change every 5 or 10 years. And what you want out of life is going to change as well. So, being there through that change, that's luck. It's luck. I wish there was a magic answer, but you compromise. And then you come to a line where you're like, I don't want to compromise past this. I don't want my happiness. So I think you support someone, and maybe it sounds dark, but like out of the fear that you don't want them to resent you the rest of their lives because you pulled them away from a thing. Like I think every night I go out to do stand-up is a little bit hard on our relationship. And we've gotten used to it now. But, she works a normal job. She comes home at night, and night is when I leave.
Yeah.
And so you got to be more intentional about setting time aside to be together. But I think deep down she knows, if she was just like, just be home, just don't do stand up. Maybe get a writing job for a TV show where you could work in the day and then come home. I think she knows deep down 20 years from now, I'd be like, I could have been a stand up. And this face across the dining room table held me back, there's no way around that. So yeah, support, nourish, enrich, encourage, be there for that person, be their support. I think that's the biggest thing in a relationship.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Zack Chapaloni, thank you so much for being here. Where can people find you?
Social media, at Zack Chapaloni, ZACK. Yeah, well, you'll probably write it down somewhere.
Everything, yeah.
We have a show, Joke Off Live, which is a fun, kind of like Chopped, but for comedians to come up with new material, and they have 10 minutes to write based on audience suggestions. We do that every month or so at the Hollywood Improv and at the Comedy Store. You can follow Joke Off Live on Instagram for clips and details on upcoming shows. And come to the Comedy Store. I perform there pretty regularly, and catch me on your next local non-union commercial against my will.
That's awesome. Thanks for doing the show. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Bye.